definitely feel like the obligation just as a human to go to these kind of rallies. It's a human right, and it is just the right thing to do, because with these rallies, no one was asking for to discuss who's right or wrong or criminalize whoever. It's just purely for humanity, just a ceasefire. It's logical. You cannot have conversation with blood shedding. Like, you have to stop the killing to be able to even talk. So that's and that's benefits both sides, any sides in any conflict. Violence and unjust and apartheid, like, this just does not work. It never worked. It never will. If we want things to work, we want to have a true peace, like, seriously, we need to stop the killing. So I felt obligated to be in these rallies for simply ceasefire, stop the killing. That's really. And what did I think about October 7? It just that day, it just, the first thing that came to my mind, like again, like, oh my God, it is happening. It was almost like a pressure cooker. Many people who understands what's happening there and follow what happens and follow the all different versions of news, not just one channel kind of thing, understand that this is gonna happen. It is happening. It will happen, but we don't know when. It happened to be at that day, because again, oppression and just systematic racism, using your power in a just way, inhumane way, and differentiate between people. Like, some people have human rights, but the others don't deserve it. It could be because of religion, race, language, whatever it is. When you start going through that path, it's not gonna end well. It will never end well. And if we look at the history, we look at the legend Nelson Mandela and what happened. It kind of, like, honestly reminds me of that all the time. This is almost like history repeating itself. And even Nelson Mandela himself expressed his clear opinion about the situation, what has been happening since 1948. So the thing is, as well, the issue did not start on October 7, 2023. It did not. It started in 1948. My mother, for example, she's almost 80 years old. She went through this. She went through the forcible immigration and the killing and the all you could imagine of, when forcibly you want to put nation on people's else's land, and remove the indigenous population in that land. So everything was used: burning, raping, killing, you name it. They've seen it all. I remember my grandmother used to talk to me about it, like, each city or each village faced something different, but of course there is fear everywhere, and we're talking about millions of Palestinians have been displaced since then. So again, I don't want to talk about like that. Don't want to talk about the justifications. That's absolutely not what I'm trying to say. All what I'm trying to say is, like, this is what oppression does, though. It is everybody's involved in this. if we're gonna criticize one party for having this effect, it's everybody. Everybody's involved. Even the powerful countries and human rights and the international court justice, and everybody's involved, because you cannot keep turning your eye away of the unjust. It never worked. It will never work. And that's the result. The result of that is October 7. And unfortunately, innocent civilians from both sides paid the price. And this is absolutely not acceptable. It's the whole nation's fault, kind of thing. It's not only one party or even two parties, it's the whole nation had a hand and a component in what happened, unfortunately.
My name is Sarah Zaloom. On my mother's side, I'm Cree, situated in Alberta lands, and on my father's side, I'm Palestinian. He was born in Jerusalem, Palestine. I go to the rallies and support the rallies for Palestine liberation because I believe that it's tied in to all liberation of people. I think there's a commonality of people being oppressed in many different levels, many levels that they're not even currently aware of or seeing the synchronicities in them. I think it's important to go to these and to spread awareness because people have been lied to, much like myself, my family, and many other people all over have been lied to about the histories, not just here, but all over the world. Our government, or the organizations, our governments, their complicity, what they do behind the scenes, without our consent, today, from the past to today. I think if we really want to make any changes to this, we have to hold them accountable, and the people have a right to know. They have a right to know the truth and that they've been lied to on many different occasions all through history, and they continue to be lied to. And they have no right to do that. They have no right at all. Of course, we'd be happy that, the bombs aren't dropping in Gaza, that the aid is not blocking the aid, and they're allowing trucks to go in with aid, and they have time. It's really a time to breathe. It's a time to mourn, a time to breathe. Even the terror of being forced back and forth, and people disconnected from their families, and people being separated, not knowing what's going on. I think that's something that was really needed for them. On the other hand, I don't believe anything that they're planning, and their intentions are usually, what they tell us is usually not what they're planning. They don't disclose everything and all the information, and then they continue with these hidden agendas, and they continue with their plan. The Greater Israel plan has not ended. The apartheid wall is not down. The occupation from land, air, and sea, the controlling everything from land, air, and sea, that is not done as well. If anything, they've increased the checkpoints. They continued right until the moment of the ceasefire. They continued killing Palestinians, and they're continuing right now killing Palestinians. The settler aggression that's going on, the land theft, all of it. It's not stopped at all. It's just moved. We have to lift the siege. We have to lift the occupation. And at the same time, we have to our governments, we have to demand that they're very transparent and disclose and divest. That's because there's so many levels that they're investing in these crimes against the Palestinians. And we have a right to know. That's they use our tax dollars to fund this in many, many different ways, many avenues. And we have a right to know, and we have a right to say if we're okay with our money being used to oppress another people. I'm going to continue myself going going as much as I can go. I was going daily and week on the weekends as well. At the same time, hosting, joining national days of action and doing seminars. I'll continue to do all of those things, knowing every day what they're going through. I just couldn't not go. It's something I'm willing to commit to my time, and I'm fortunate that I have that time to be able to do that. I would appeal to the ordinary Canadians that, you know, I know everybody here is struggling in many different aspects, whether it's food scarcity, their food security, job security, mental health, loved ones with addiction, housing security, you name it. There's so many issues. I would appeal to them and say that there's a commonality here. Okay, these are oppressed peoples that aren't just in Palestine, but their oppression is linked to the oppression all over the world, and it's for greed and it's for power. And the ones that are lost in the mix and left behind, and the ones struggling, are you and me. They're the people that we know. You know, we weren't meant to live this way. This is not normal. This is not right. This is not okay, and this needs to stop. The freedom of the Palestinians, that ties in the freedom of everybody in the world. If you can just see how everything is linked. It's settler colonialism. It's like Canada. It was built on that, and you know the history isn't of the real history of what was done to the Native peoples here. That was all whitewashed. That was whitewashed. We weren't really taught factually in school growing up myself. And as well as our treaties were designed to take away our rights. You know, it's not within the interest to have us, like a people, own this land, like so it belongs to the crown, right? But at the same time, that's exactly what's happening in Palestine. It's the same, it's copy and paste, it's the same thing. We want to look and we want to see, okay, well, they stole land. They went in, they occupied the place. They kicked them out of their homes, their traditional lands. That's the exact same thing that happened and happens here. It's control of their food, control of their resources. It's so in so many aspects any way you want to look at it. There's also genocide denial, where we still have today genocide denial of the residential school systems. You go online now and you look it up and you just flooded with it. See, this is copy and paste. And when you want to take over a land and you want the control, you have to eradicate the natives. And that's what they did here. That's what they're doing there. And that's what they do all over. They've done all over through history. If we really want to say reconciliation and the change that Canada's committed to, well, then they need to be honest about it. And you need to speak out, and you shouldn't participate in it. You shouldn't participate, you shouldn't support it, you shouldn't fund it. End of story. I have family all over Palestine, and all over Palestine, mostly in the West Bank. Most of the majorities in the West Bank. It's just really important, the synchronicities, and to see that our struggles here, people associated somewhere far away, and what does it have to do with us? And it has everything to do with us in so many levels. And I just encourage people to just take the time and look into what's really happening here. Look who's involved in this. Look at the synchronicities. I think it's beneficial to everybody, because it's going to take everybody. It's going to take everyone.
Yes, I have all my uncles, cousins, their families, they're all there. some of whom I didn't see since I came here to Canada for over 30 years. But of course we're in touch all the time, but it was really hard, and it's kind of made me feel also guilty not visiting Gaza before this happened, because realistically speaking, there is no Gaza now, like it's just the destruction. But my uncles and my cousins and all, we just cried when we heard the news that there is going to be a ceasefire on that Sunday. We couldn't believe it. It is really happening. Even when I was talking to one of my uncles, he is a doctor. So I'm sure he has seen way more than my other uncles and cousins. I never ever seen him cry. Never. He was crying and he couldn't talk. They're exhausted. They're terrified. They're humans. People forget that they're humans, and it just, the collective punishment they have not. They're just innocent people, innocent civilians, and the collective punishment has happened. It just it's kind of like it was huge disbelief. Yes, lots of my cousins lost their homes, but that is okay. Again, we're not even looking at that. I did lose family members, like second cousins and all, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're hopeful. They are hopeful. They're not even talking about any political agendas or any. They're only talking about how nice it is that they're going to be able to sleep without the sounds of explosion and fearing that, is it our turn? Who's next? Fear about, what to feed their kids, if the next day they have nothing. They were happy that they're going to be able to drink water because they've been drinking very they have to make sure they don't run out of water, so they have to be careful how much they drink. So they're thirsty, they're hungry. Trucks of aids start going in now, but I mean, it's gonna take, I don't know, a miracle to be able to cover everybody. But the beautiful thing is, I was talking to one of my uncles the second day, because I wanted to see what they're doing. Are they out now? Are they walking in the streets? Well, there's no streets, but are they out of wherever they are in? And he said the neighbors and people from the street I don't even know, and some relatives, they're all here in our house. We're just gathering. He said, we don't have anything to offer them. but we're just gathering, and we're just happy, and everybody's just concentrating on just the value of life, and how grateful they are to whoever is alive to be alive, and how grateful they are that they're gonna hopefully be able to have a normal, whatever normal life is. But after what they've seen, it's really sad. 15 months, we didn't know. Every day we wake up and okay, are we gonna hear news of one of our family members, and even people at the hospitals. And I remember the images at the beginning where there was no anesthetic, women having C-sections without anesthetic, amputations without anesthetic. It is unbelievable. So the suffering is going to end, and this is life, because even the definition of life for each person is different. Not just what you want from life, even just life. this is what I found out. I never even thought about it, but really the definition of life is different for each one. And they're happy. I'm happy. I'm happy for all of them. Happy for the ceasefire, the killing and all that, and happy that everybody's gonna have, hopefully, like a peaceful life. I don't have any family in the West Bank. You were asking. Used to, but they were evacuated years ago, and they were forced to leave, and they live in other countries now, from my mother's side. But I have lots of friends there in the West Bank, and it is worrisome actually, because it feels, I don't know, I don't want to say like starting there, but and again, I don't want to get into the too much details of the politics in it. I know we just want to talk about the great news of the ceasefire, but I really hope nothing will happen in the West Bank. Like, my heart aches. I am worried, but really hopeful, and hopeful that the whole world have seen what the killing does and the shed of blood. Like, there is no reason that is not the solution. It never was, and it never will. So hopefully everybody will live in peace soon, and just to stop the killing. That's how, this is the right path to peace. Of course, I was hoping, and not just me, I think all humanity, and I hope, and I think like all Canadians, we're a nation of love and peace, that we were hoping that the government will ask for a ceasefire right from the beginning. That's all what even all the rallies all over the world was asking for, and I was hoping that our Canadian government, my government, will ask for that, because again, I said it and I say it again, you cannot have the peace, you cannot have a solution with the killing going on. It never worked, and it will never work. And all what we were asking for, all what humanity was asking for, is just stop the killing. We're not talking about who's right and wrong and what the political agendas and all that. This is not what anyone is talking about. Just ceasefire, that's it. Stop the killing. I'm glad eventually the government was calling for ceasefire. There's lots of support from the community, like all over Canada, like nationwide. There was a huge support for the ceasefire to stop the killing. Because again, this is the way, and the only way, to peace, and to talk, and to have a solution. Otherwise, forget it, there is no hope. Look back at history. It never worked, it will never work. So as humans, I hope all governments will still support that kind of strategy. There can be different ways. I don't know what, that's their game. But for us as humans, we really need to stop killing each other. Killing and retaliation and all that is just not the solution. It never was, it never will. Yeah. At least just openly be clear and proud that the Canadian government stands for peace, and to clearly be to express that and not shy away from it is a clear message to all nations, to all humanities, that the Canadian government really value human lives, because I know we are. This is Canada, but we really need to do more. They really need to talk about it openly. I don't know if there could be like how the politics now is going to work, but Canada is I consider Canada as the greatest nation, and I hope that they will be able to find a solution and be part of the negotiations and the solutions. And this solution moving forward should be different than the solution from 75 years ago. We really need to look into stop the systematic racism, the apartheid. We need justice and freedom for everybody. Every human being should be valuable. There should be no differentiation between one human and the other just because of your identity. We're all humans, and this is what human rights is. And I just, I hope this will be emphasized more, and part of the solution would be basically just to stop the oppression.